Okay.
Now, two things which I have forgotten to mention in their chronological order was, when I was appointed, I went home and told my mother. My mother was now in her 80s. And I said to her, "Mammy, I'm going to Rome." She looked at me like that. And she said, "Why are you going to Rome?" Oh, I said, "I'm going to found a newspaper and to be editor of the paper in the Vatican." And she said, "What do you know about editing a newspaper?" I said, "Mammy," I said, "there's nothing I cannot do." And then she looked at me, a scathing look, a scathing sight that, "Go away with that," she said, you'll disgrace the family." Now, I thought she was correct. I honestly thought that she was correct, because I knew nothing about all this, and I wonder why divine providence had appointed me. For only much later I was to learn why. But I thought I would have been packed home in disgrace after the first week. But however, I managed to survive for 22 years, 3 years over the age limit, and sure the last year I had to fight for a whole year to get out of the place. But the other thing was, what the other thing?
You're Orthodox.
Oh yes, I was talking about when the files were given to me. I got the files, and I got the file of Monsignor McGeough. He had typed single spacing on both sides of a single page, and unfortunately there were no photocopy machines in those days. I would have liked to have dashed out and photocopied this thing, but I couldn't. I read through it, and my boss was sitting at the table next to me, so there wasn't much I could do. So I was reading through this thing as though it was part of the foundation of the paper, reading through what Monsignor McGeough said, and he said, and I quote, "His faith, if I may be permitted to say so, is typically Irish." He himself, you see, was Irish, this is why, if I may be permitted to say so, is typically Irish, firm, solid, and Roman. And it was those three adjectives that got me the job.
Right.
So I think we can...
Yeah, do you want to talk next time about when you first went there, the typesetter knew more than you did?
Oh yes.
Look at it next time?
Oh yes, well, when I went there, I had to go down to the typesetter, down to the typography, and everything was hot lead, and the big frames and the hot lead was put into the frames, you know, put a bit of string around it, and I knew nothing about all this. It was a new world to me altogether. I'd never been in typography in my life, and this was way back in the old days, before the Arc. So the man who was in charge of this English, the new English edition, was a man who had been a fighter pilot, Italian fighter pilot over North Africa during the Second World War. So, of course, he was very respectful to me. I came in, I was 51 years of age, and he said to me, "Padre," no, he called me Monsignor. He called everybody Monsignor. And I said, "Don't call me Monsignor, call me Padre. I'm not a Monsignor." And anyway, Monsignor, of course, I said, anything that moves, they call it Monsignor. Anyway, he said, "I suppose you know all about this." Naturally, the Holy See, the august Secretariat of State, would not appoint somebody who didn't know all about it. So he said, "I suppose you know all about this job editing newspaper." His name was Fulvio Guerini. I looked at him and I said, "I know nothing." he was being a horror. And he said, niente, nothing. So I said, sì, niente, yes, nothing. Well, he was bewildered. How could the Secretary of State appoint someone who knew nothing? And then he said, it's going to be very easy. I said, why? Well, you know nothing. I know what to do. I tell you, you do it, and I said, put it there. So we shook hands on it. And the other men were there, working on the different editions, and it was coming up towards time to lay off for the evening and to head home for dinner. I had just received my first salary, my monthly salary. So I looked at them, there were about 3 or 4 of them there. And I said, come, I said, I invite you all out to dinner. I said, full of you, I said, you can pick a good restaurant. So out we went, I got into the car with them, off we went, and we piled into the restaurant. And we sat down, we had a good meal, and we had good wines. And on that dinner, I blew my entire salary, the entire monthly salary. And I must confess, that was the best investment I ever made in all my life. Afterwards, whenever a crisis would arise, Greenland's paper had to come out on time. We were never late. Greenland's paper was never late. So if there was any danger, everybody dropped everything and they all came running to my assistance. And that showed up when, after Pope Paul died, then came Pope John Paul I. I came back into, after my holidays, came back into my office on the morning that the Pope had died, John Paul I had died. Consternation. We were just about to wheel our frames in per Dari Sutler to go under, as we say, to be printed, when I was stopped, and down came Tricarico. He said, stop. Pope has died. You've got to take out the 3 first pages and put in 3 new pages, and he handed me a whole bundle of Italian texts which were to be translated. And this was now 8:30, and this was the time when our printing was supposed to begin at 12 o'clock. So as we finished to allow the daily paper to begin printing about, say, 3 o'clock. So my assistant, Father Finnegan, from Uri, he was just going on holidays that day. He arrived in and he said, this is wonderful, I'm on holidays, going on holidays today, I have news for you. You're not going on holidays. Oh, I am. I said, I bought my ticket. Well, I said, you can phone up the air company and cancel it. Why, he said, the Pope has died. Ha, he said. I said, look at the flags, I said, they're at half-mast. Now I said, phone the air company, cancel your flight, and get down to work. We start all over again. It's the same thing we had a month ago, death of a Pope. So he and I, we divided the thing in 2. I translated one half, he translated the other half. Sister Catherine was there and she was typing the thing as we handed the written script to her. And then I went down and I supervised the printing of it into the lead, hot lead, because these men didn't know English and might see the wrong letter coming down and just pull it out and put it back and put in the right letter. And then we worked, all the others came to help us. They left their own editions and they all came to me, all the guys I invited to the dinner party. And they were there doing everything, and we were supposed to begin at 12 o'clock. We didn't begin until 12:15, which made no difference. We began at 12:15. We were finished, everything cleared before 3 o'clock. The daily paper began at 3 o'clock, so everything was okay. That was one of the biggest crises, but we managed it. Then Father Finnegan, I said to Father Finnegan, postpone your holidays, I said, for a month or so, because we're going to have a new conclave, and you know, all we did before. Last time we didn't know what to do, we had no experience. Now we've got all the back numbers, we know exactly what's coming up. So we get ready for the next election.
Right. And then there was something about you saying, somebody was, this is late, this is after Vatican II, Humana Vitae, when somebody said, I'll have you fired. And you said,
Well,
so that's way down, we can do that
well,
next
that's a new story, that'll take a whole session.
Okay.
That'll take